Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. This week we are going to talk about myths of the driving test. So things you've probably heard from your friends or relatives, or you might have read on Facebook or the internet. Things that people say will either help you or things that can go against you in your driving test. The first one, and the biggest myth that we have, is that there is a best time to do your driving test. Now, the only time that is the best time to do your driving test is when you're most prepared, when you're ready for it. So listen to what your driving instructor's got to say, if you've got a driving instructor, and make sure you can do all of the things you need to do on your own, independently, without any help from anybody else. Yeah, so you might have heard some of your friends say, oh, they can only pass so many people a week. Sorry, they can only pass so many people a week. And I don't believe that's true. Some people say they run out of passes by the time you get to your Friday afternoon test. So you don't want to book your test at Friday at 3 o'clock or whichever the latest time is at your driving test centre. And it's just not true. I've had people that have failed their test first thing on a Monday and passed last thing on a Friday, even people passing on a Saturday. So most driving test centres only work Monday to Friday. Occasionally they put Saturday tests in. If that was true, you'd never pass on a Saturday. And every person that I've had go for a test on a Saturday has passed. So straight away, that doesn't seem true to me, doesn't ring true to me. So there are people that will say, well, if that was the case and things are getting better and better, the pass rate would change. So people are often surprised that the national average sort of pass rate is less than 50%. The national average pass rate for the driving test, 46.3% is what it's averaged out at the last 12 years, over those last 12 years. So ranging from, I've got it all written down here because I can't remember all these figures off the top of my head. A low of 44% in 2007, 2008, up to a high of around 47%, averaging out around the 46% of tests that are taken are passed. Last year, 2018-19, the last full year of data, they did 1.6 million tests and 760,000 tests, rounded down. Were passed. So 1.6 million taken, 760,000 passed. There is a bit of a difference between male and female pass rates. The male pass rate is at around just under 50%, so 49.8, 49.9. The female pass rate sits at 43 as an average, around the 42, 43% mark across the last sort of 12 years. It does change up and down. Doesn't necessarily mean that males are better than females at driving. It means males pass tests slightly more often than females do, but it doesn't mean that male drivers are better than female drivers. That said, you get the right tuition and the right instructor for you, and you'll increase that. So I have data from all of my students, and when we go to test and we know that they're ready and we think they've got the best chance of passing, we've come out with around 75%. All tests taken, 75% of them pass. So you've got a 25% increase there on the national average. So the best thing to do with your test is take it when you're ready. If you just think, oh, I'll just have a go and get the experience, you're almost admitting to yourself there, well, I'm probably going to fail this one. So don't go. It's not productive. It's not right for you to do that. You could end up maybe getting lucky. Maybe you are ready. I'm not saying you're not ready, but if you weren't ready and you got lucky because it was very quiet and you got the maneuver for you that works the best and you're happiest and most comfortable with, you could end up passing. But then you go out in your car on your own for the first time and you get to that busy roundabout that you always need your instructor or your mum or your dad or whoever is that's teaching you to drive. You get there and you're like, you panic and then you can't go. And then, so you're not ready. You're not ready for driving on your own. It's not just about that test time. It's about the whole driving experience and your ability to control the car on your own. So I would say that they don't have a percentage rate to pass to. They don't have a number that they can get to by the end of the week. I would suggest it's more about being ready. Can you do it? Are you sure? The question you've got to ask yourself before you go to test is, can I do everything without anybody helping me? And can I do it safely? If you can't, and you needed help with changing lanes or approaching a roundabout or anything at all, then you probably need to think, I need a little bit more practice. The second thing that I'd say that people say a lot is, oh, I'm not allowed to cross my arms when I'm steering. I must keep them dead still at 10 to 2. That's what they want me. They want me to do it 10 to 2. I must hold the steering wheel in a certain way and it must be at 10 to 2. The best thing to do is keep 2 hands on the steering wheel, and doing the pushing and the pulling and like the steering like that is best for control. You want to stay in control of the car, you need to hold the steering wheel. If you need to cross your hands to maintain control of the car, then that's okay, do that. But don't do it all of the time. Certainly don't steer with one hand like that, or one hand up here, or both your hands down too low. Keep both your hands on the steering wheel. Yeah, 10 to 2, quarter to 3, perfect, keep it there. But if you have to cross your hands, then okay, but do it if you're maintaining control and you're staying safe. Don't just do this like this when you've got no hands on the steering wheel and back the other way like this. You're gonna come unstuck there. But if you do it once a little bit quickly when you're doing your maneuver, you're probably going to be okay. It's not essential for you not to cross your arms. Avoid it if you can, and if you're driving correctly, you should be able to steer the other way. It's not any quicker to cross your arms usually. But if you feel you need to do it once or twice, the likelihood is you're going to be okay. I'm not going to say that you won't fail for doing it. Everything when you normally end up failing your driving test is not just a single thing. It's down to what's going on around you, what's happening outside of the car, not just the act of what you're doing with the steering wheel. It could be anything. Is it safe with what's going on outside, and everything else? It's the whole scenario, not just the, oh, it's the steering I failed for. It's the steering in the situation. Number 3, another good one that I personally find, oh, such and such. Oh, you don't want Steve the examiner, or you don't want Jane because they don't pass anybody. None of my friends have passed with them. You'll find that the examiners that people have passed their driving test with, no one ever says how brilliant they were. People have only ever got issue with when they failed. You're not going to get a glowing report off of somebody, and if it so happens that 2 of your friends had the same examiner and they both failed because they did something unsafe, well, they're both going to have thought that it was them that caused them to fail, rather than the actions that your friend took. As an instructor, you see the examiners very often, and you get passes and fails with all of them. It's just the way it goes. The only way you're going to fail is if you do something unsafe. It's not the examiner. Another one would be, oh, they can't fail you for going too slow, because everybody thinks about speeding, or it's the easiest way to fail, and it is probably the easiest way to fail. I would say very easy just to go a little bit too quick, and if you're doing it all the time, yeah, you'll end up failing. To go the other way and say, well, they can't fail you for going too slow, they can. You need to make progress, appropriate progress throughout your test. So if it's a 30-mile-an-hour road and there's nothing stopping you going, well, then you should get going up to 30 miles an hour and hold your speed as long as it's safe. If the situation changes, then you adjust your speed. What you don't want to be doing is sticking at 20 when it's 30, when you could be going. So you want to get going. If you can get going, get going. Get up to the speed limit and get yourself safely. So if you don't want to be in 30 miles an hour down a road that's 30 miles an hour, that's double parked both sides of the road, and you've only got room for one car to go through, that wouldn't be safe. But a normal road at 30 miles an hour, no cars parked on it, no traffic in front of you, get up to speed and stay at speed, but don't go over it. And a quick one here, number 5, the 5th thing that I'd say that people say, oh, I've stalled, I'm going to fail. That's a fail. It's not. It's about how you deal with it. So if you stall every time you get to a traffic light junction and you go to pull away and you stall every single time, or every single time you go to pull away at a roundabout, well, you're probably going to fail, because you can't deal with the situation independently to drive away every time. If every time you go to pull away you stall, there's a problem there you need to fix. Stall once at a set of traffic lights or any sort of junction and you deal with it. You go, oh, stall, wrong gear. So you change your gear back into first gear, check to make sure it's safe, make sure the light's still green, and you go. Fine. You're going to get a driver fault most likely. If you stall at that situation, you stay in third gear, you got to go again and you stall, you got to go again and you stall, you got to go again and you stall, and the examiner has to tell you, look, eventually they say to you, look, you're in the wrong gear, you're struggling because you're in third gear there, not first. You're going to fail because you can't do it by yourself. You need to know by yourself why you're doing it. Equally, you stall, you reset the car, you get to go, off you go, the light's turned red by that point, and you go through a red light. Again, another issue that's probably going to result in you failing. Another good one, people say, oh, book my test for like 8:30, when just through rush hour. It's going to be rush hour, it's going to be busy, so I'll be sat in traffic, so I won't waste a lot of time there, so I won't have to drive so far, I can't make any mistakes in that. So you're right, you sit in traffic, you shouldn't really make many mistakes. But your driving test isn't use up an amount of time. It's a route that tests your ability to drive in varying situations. So higher speed roads, if they're available near you, tight residential roads, fast moving residential roads, roundabouts, complex junctions, right turns, left turns, all of it. So if you just sit in traffic, you're not going to pass just because you run out the time. What you have to do is you have to complete the route, and the examiner has to see. You don't always complete all of the route. If the examiner can see enough of your driving to say that this person's good enough, I feel comfortable that I've seen enough that they're good enough to drive. Yeah, we got stuck in a bit of traffic for 5 minutes, but actually everything was fine. You get stuck because there's a major accident. There's a third possible outcome to a test other than pass and fail. Is no result. It's called an abandoned test, because they weren't able to complete the test because of an issue that meant that you were sat in traffic for the whole time. That's your other option. That can happen to you. That can happen. So you don't want to be sat in traffic the whole time, because you're not going to the examiner's not going to be able to assess you. If they can't assess you, they can't say that you've passed. Another one that I've heard people say would be that, especially for girls or people with long hair, I've put your hair in a ponytail. You're in a ponytail. So when you check your mirrors and you see your head moving, your ponytail swishes. You don't need to do that. Your examiner, or the examiner you have for the day, will know if you're checking your mirrors or not, because they do this all day, every day. They would do approximately 7 tests a day, 5 days a week, and with their holiday, probably 46 weeks of the year. So the maths on that is quite big, but they're going to see a lot of tests, and maths that I can't do on the top of my head. It's they see a lot of tests, so they're going to be able to see if you're checking your mirrors. They're going to know from looking at you. They'll look at you from the side. Every time they ask you to do something, they'll be looking at what you're doing. They're looking at you. And with that one, very often comes if you just knock your mirrors ever so slightly out of line like this, so you can't see properly, and then adjust your wing mirror, door mirror the same way, then you have to look extra hard to show that you're looking. You don't need to do that, because if it takes you longer to look, you're not looking where you're going for as long. It's not safe. Don't do it. They'll be able to see. There's just no need. Keep your eyes on the road, do what you're doing, and do your mirror checks when you need to do them. You don't need to be, and don't count in your head with the mirror checks. Don't count 1, 2, 3. I'll do them every 20 seconds. I'll check my mirrors. Do them when you need them. Do them before you turn and before you make any sort of movements with the car. If you move the car in any way, do your mirror check. If you're going down a long straight road that nothing's happening on, just check every now and then, have a look. Stay relaxed. If you're constantly counting or worrying about it, you're going to miss something else. And it's no good just looking for the sake of looking and go, oh yeah, I can see, like a nodding dog just checking your mirrors. Like, you need to look, you need to see what's going on. So that kind of wraps up this one. This is a nice quick little video for me, quick little video today, just to talk about some common myths and misconceptions I've heard about the driving test. This is by no means everything that you'll hear, and there's probably things that I've missed that your friends might have said to you, or you may have heard from other people or read online. If there's anything you think I've missed, drop it down in the comments down below and let me know what they are, and I'll do my best to get back to all of the comments. I should be able to answer everybody with anything that I see.